What up, fellas? Good morning. For me, it's good morning. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. It feels like it's really early. We're in Terre Haute, Indiana. I think's how you say it. So we're headed to New York, to Lake Oneida, and got some stuff coming for you guys, and that's what I was going to discuss with you this morning. Discuss along with you today too. We're just waking up here at the hotel room. We got in last night, probably a little late, wasn't it? Midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, we're about to start our day. So I know that most of you guys are around here all the time, right? And I want to get some stuff across here. You've obviously noticed that I have been dropping videos, boom, 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 for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And really impressed that I've stayed on schedule. And I plan on trying to stay my darndest to stay on schedule going forward. What we have had to do is I've used a lot of stuff that I've had in the can, older videos that I needed to get out, wanted to get out, and got those out. But really going forward, I don't have all that stuff now, so like we're really going to get into some new stuff and some new ideas that I have and what I wanted to do, which leads me to this video right here. All right, guys, here we are on the road to New York, headed for the 5th Bassmaster Open of the year. This is Lake Oneida, New York. This is July 1st. We're going to be up here over 4th of July weekend. Going to knock out a little video here. Got Grayson in the truck with me. We're traveling. If it's your first time here, bump that like, hit that subscribe. Dude, I've been thinking a lot about videos and the way that I make them, the way that a lot of us make them, and it's like they all follow this script of like travel vlogs, and then there's the practice days, and then there's the tournament days. And I don't know why we all have this script. I don't know if it started with TV or what, but like we're all following it, and it's the same thing over and over and over. And we're going to try to do something different this week. I don't know if it'll work. I've given this a lot of thought, and what I'm planning on doing different is really just kind of go into detail about what all is going through my mind this week. So like really bring y'all in on this Oneida tournament. This is not a local lake for me. It's not something I'm worried about giving up information on, and really just kind of go through the week and what all is going to be happening, what I'm thinking about while I'm driving up there, what all I've done for tackle prep so far up to this point. Man, I got a lot of stuff together, and originally this is a lake that, first of all, part of my prep is this is the 5th tournament of the year. This sets us right in the middle of the season. So this tournament right here will be dead center of the season, and the ultimate goal here is to make the Elite Series. That's it. And top 3 in each division goes to the Elite Series, plus the top 3 in the points in the overall for all 9 tournaments of the year. I'm sitting in a place where in the Centrals I can make it, and I'm sitting in a place in the overall where I can make it. I think right now I'm in 8th place in the overall. These are 225 boat fields. I think there's 80 plus guys in the overall that were fishing all of them when we started the year this year. I don't know how many are left, but a lot of guys are going to get knocked out and not still be in this thing after this event. There's a lot of guys already out of it right now in the overall, and each tournament it's just a few less guys, and you want to be one of them left standing. I would really like to have a big week this week. The problem with filming the video this way, like really going into detail, and I've thought about this a lot, the reason why I think a lot of guys haven't done it is because this would be a great video the whole week, right? I talk about all this stuff on the way up there, what's on my mind, and then during practice and doing tackle prep and all that, I can talk about what I was going through my mind. But then if you finish 180th, like it's all out the window. You know, and that's a reality of what can happen in tournament fishing, and I think that's why we haven't seen a lot of these videos out there that are going to be somewhat like these. I haven't ever made one like this. This is going to be a different tournament series of videos for me, for Oneida for sure. So let's get right to it. We drove 10 hours yesterday, driving 10 more hours today, put us at New York. I did a lot of research and different stuff, just like what I've done. This is actually the 4th time I've been to Lake Oneida. Now, when I say that, I've been there 4 times. It's changed a lot because the first time I was there was in 2006. Then I was there again in 09. Both those tournaments were won with largemouth. The lake's changed a lot. It's got gobies in it now. We were here last year, and it was very smallmouth dominated. And it seems to be less largemouth, more smallmouth. The big thing is the smallmouth are bigger. So these are some of the things that are going through my head as I'm on the way up here. You know, it used to be perch fry was a big deal. Topwater bite. Oneida was historically known for the topwater bite, the schooling fish, and chasing birds, and all that stuff. And last year when we were here, it was a month later in the summer, so it was a little further along. These fish had just come off the beds. You know, they had their spawn probably in the last 4 weeks, and the perch fry probably are a factor. We had a mayfly hatch usually happen somewhere around this time of year. That'll be a factor that'll play. I see a lot of algae blooms that happen up north on these natural lakes this time of year. You guys down south, if you haven't seen some of the algae blooms, I mean, we have them even in Oklahoma, so I know you know what I'm talking about, where it turns the water real green. Takes away from the water clarity. So I guess basically what I'm getting at is with the gobies is that these fish used to primarily, a lot of these tournaments were guys that were highly successful were fishing in the upper water column, drawing those fish to come up to feed. And a lot of that had to do with perch fry. And I'm looking for some of that this week as well. But you can't ignore the goby bite. The gobies have been in here for quite some time now, and those fish are slowly but surely becoming more addicted to them. And they become less nomadic. With the gobies, they can just sit on one shoal and not have to move and chase because those gobies are out there and they just get fat on them. So a lot of bottom bumping baits, drop shots, jig. There's a lot of talk about the jig. You know, a lot of guys talk about the Ned rig up here, and I agree the Ned's going to be something in my arsenal, but the jig seems to be what really I had some success with last year. I'm looking forward to throwing it this year. I primarily largemouth fished during the event last year, but during practice, I had some fish cranking and different things. One of the big things that I think a lot of guys fish in the opens don't even realize. Man, there's 200 boats in these tournaments, 225. In Oneida, while yes, it's a good-sized lake, it's 225 boats is a lot of boats on Oneida, and it's a lot of pressure. The fish, we focus on weather and different things. The fish are the most impactful thing we can do to the fishery is us, our pressure that we present to a lake. And some of the weights that I've seen online where they've had local tournaments up here and stuff look really good. And some of them are pretty good sized tournaments, 80 boat tournaments, maybe even 100 boat tournament. But the effect of 225 boats and the amount of practice that these guys put on the lake, these fish are going to know we're here, and they put on their freaking helmets. You kind of got to find something that's off the beaten path. It's a little more hidden or not as obvious to be able to locate those fish. These smallmouth are nomadic. You know, they move a lot. The bigger fish, I feel like, are probably some of those nomadic fish. I know last year some of the smallmouth that I caught, some of the guys that I talked to, seemed to be some of those roamers. So if I could put a bait on top of a couple of those fish's heads, I think live scope's going to be a big part this week. Tackle-wise, I've got more spinning rods than what I normally carry because last year when I left, I felt like while I enjoyed the largemouth fishing, and I do think it could be even a little bit better this year than it was last year just because it's earlier, I think primarily the smallmouth is what I really want to come up here and focus on. And I wish I'd have had a few more of those to play with than what I did last year going into the event. I didn't have a bad tournament up here last year, but I didn't have a great one. I would love nothing more than to have a top 10 this week. Top 10 this week would put me dead set, real close to the top 3 in the points in the middle of the season with 4 more left. 2 of them being in the Central Division, one of them being at Hartwell in the South, and then only one to overcome in the North, which is still a largemouth fishery over on the Chesapeake Bay. So coming out of Oneida with a really strong finish would be I plan on trying to do is really try to focus on some stuff, spend some time idling isolated rock piles. There's a million of them up here. They're very easily seen on side imagery. There's usually grass around them. Focus on the types of grass that are around them whenever you do get bites. You're really just looking for a group of fish that seem to be a higher quality than the average. There's a ton of 2.5 pounders in here, and that's not what you're after. I'm looking for 3+ 3 to 4 pound class fish, and they tend to kind of be in the same area. So looking for an area, so like last year, for example, I think 3 or 4 guys that ended up in the top 10 were fishing within sight of each other. It was just a group of fish in that area of the lake that were a little bit bigger, that were roaming and doing kind of some of the same things. So an area like that's what I'm looking for. Wind is always a big obstacle here. It blows, and it blows hard, and it's a big enough lake that it gets pretty rough, and you kind of got a plan for that, So tonight when I get there, I'm going to open up my app and look at the wind app and see what the weather predictions are, because I really want to be able to practice for the weather that we're going to have in the tournament. I think that's critical. Really spend some time studying the wind directions and the wind speeds and what's expected, because some stuff may be blown out. Some stuff may be where you're fishing in practice and doesn't have wind, and then come tournament day it turns and blows on in, so to the point that it's no longer even fishable water. So some of those things are going to play in. Got to consider that it is July. There's been a lot of tournaments already this year. A lot of fish have already been released right there. We're the only place that the tournaments go out of any size that I know of is right there where we're going out of, which is on the west end of the lake. That was a big player last year, the west end of the lake was. Some of those rock piles that I'm talking about. And I definitely want to spend some time there. One of the big obstacles we're going to have is that it is 4th of July. We're actually practicing over the 4th of July weekend. And that west end of the lake is going to be covered up because that's where a lot of the marinas and houses and stuff like that, the town of Brewerton is. So it's going to be crowded in there. And I don't know how much time earlier in the week we're going to be able to spend there. It may be till Tuesday and Wednesday before we can even actually get on it without getting run over all the pleasure boaters on the 4th of July. Back to the spinning rods, yeah, I've got like 6 of them rigged up. It's a bunch. And one of the things that I did different this week is some of the research that I've done and looking around. We use braid all the time on our spinning rods, and a lot of the guys that I talk to up here still do. There's a lot of guys not using it, and a lot of good fishermen from the north are not using it, and I'm not real sure what that's about yet. But what I can tell you is that I've taken the braid off of most of my reels, and I've still got a couple with them. But even if you're using a 10-foot leader, this place sometimes can be as clear as a bathtub. When you're dropping straight on fish, drop shotting, like say you're at St. Clair or somewhere and you're dropping 20, 25, 30 foot deep, that thing's straight above their head, and I can see where braid wouldn't be as big a deal. But on a shallow flat lake like this, where you're catching them from anywhere from 8 foot to 17, 18, 19, 20 foot, but a lot of your casts are horizontal where you're making long casts. That line being over their head, maybe there's something to that, I don't know. But I'm going to give that a try. That's something I've thought about, and I've already changed up because I've gone all fluorocarbon on all my spinning reels. The other thing I did is I loaded up on some of those Falcon 7'6" spinning rods, which is a longer spinning rod than what I normally like. I usually use a 7-footer because I'm, at home, I'm around docks, around cover, I'm skipping, pitching that thing around, and the 7'6" is just too much. But I think that long casts are critical up here because of the water clarity. And maybe it's something I've been guilty of. Maybe a lot of us Southerners are, we come from places that the water clarity where we can boat positioning, we can be a lot closer to the fish than you can be up here. And, unless you had somebody with you that was a local standing on the front deck, you might come up here 3 or 4 times and not even realize, hey, I'm not getting that bait far enough away from the boat to where it's not really spooking fish. So boat positioning and being able to stay a long ways away in long casts are something that's on my radar. My go-to baits coming into this thing, just search bait-wise for smallmouth, the tube bait, the jig, Nedhead, drop shot, and then obviously I got to have some moving baits, the jerk bait and the vibrating jigs. So those will probably be the most things that I line. I may even line a swim jig some, but those are primarily going to be my search baits. Oh, and the topwater, can't forget that. They love a spook here, and they love the pop R here. I had a really good day here on the pop R once, 2009, when they were on a perch fry bite. Yeah, that thing to me is more of a edge of grass line related deal. Like the grass usually grows here 15 to 17 foot deep, outside edge, something like that. And that was an incredible couple of days that I had up here. That was been a while back, but maybe that's still going again. I don't know. We'll see. It's that time of year for it to be happening. But these are kind of some of the things that I'm thinking about doing. I've got a lot of my tackle already rigged, spinning rod wise. I don't have a lot of my bait caster stuff because it's kind of, like I said, same old jerk bait and swim jig and stuff. And I've got all that stuff usually rigged up. Largemouth, I'm not forgetting about. Let's talk about the largemouth. Majority of the times that I have been up here, I've largemouth fished, and a lot of largemouth, the shallow ones, they come from stuff that you can see with your own eyes, and I just don't even want to show them a bait. Like a lot of this stuff, I'm just going to look at and say, yeah, I want to hit that. I want to hit that. Yeah, that looks productive. Yeah, I could catch a big one out of that. A lot of it's frogging or flipping type of water. Some of the flipping stuff I may flip just to see if I can get some bites and how many bites I get. Frog stuff, the top water frog stuff, I'm not even probably going to make a cast. I'll probably just acknowledge it, see it, and move on. A lot of times it's clear water, and even though it's middle of the summer, the power of sight fishing, like on days that the wind's not blowing in practice, not getting many bites, you get try this, try that, you're dragging this around, side imaging and all that graphing. Your eyes can be a pretty powerful tool, and I really want to get this in the video to kind of remind myself as well. It's a good way to spend time in practice. It's just turn trolling motor on, put the rods down, make a sandwich, put it in your hand, and just look. A lot of these places you can see 10, 15 foot deep. I don't think you can see 15 at Oneida, but St. Clair you could. You can see 15 to 20. And you can learn a lot with your eyes. You can actually see fish. You can see cover and what all they're relating to. And sometimes you can really come across some gold mines, shallow, just using your eyes that you would never have found by just fishing. That's probably my game plan with the largemouth. The river sometimes plays. To me, it's a current related deal. I saw a really special window in there last year with it. When the current went away, it wasn't the same. I've tried to figure out ways to figure out a lock schedule somewhat. Because it is run off of a dam, but there's just really no way to get it. It really just kind of has to do with local rainfall. It's been a rough drive today. I thought I put in the GPS, it was supposed to be like 11 and a half hours, and we've already been driving 12. So I think we've got a cabin right on the lake. We got Panger staying with us